Bitter criticism, it's not raining anymore. So late at night, it's been a rainy day, but I guess not going well. These two dogs are alive, my fellow lover dogs, my fellow Peter Touch, woo, and that the other one is Mimi, and here we have Tommy, trying to be friends of Peter Touch. Will Tommy be friend of Peter Touch? Only time will tell. Only time will tell. And what is going to happen, Ian? And what is going to happen between between Israel and Iran? We are going to find it right away in Al Jazeera, of course. Now this time I got interest on Al Jazeera. US sends warplanes, battleship to region amid Iran-Israel tension. 10 minutes ago, KLM joins list of airlines suspending flights to Israel. Woo! Things are getting interesting, Peter. So good not being in Israel, isn't it? 25 minutes ago, watch. This is my only hope, says Palestinian who farms to combat hunger. Didn't got that. Yeah, I guess I'm going to read that. Photos, yeah. I'm going to read this from a farmer. A farmer. This is my only hope, says Palestinian who farms to combat hunger. This is my only hope, says Youssef Abu Rabi, a Palestinian man who is reviving farming to address food shortages caused by Israel's blockade in Gaza. Imagine farming in Palestine right this time. I'm not sure if this guy, you know, maybe I have a terrible naive thought about Palestinians. I have this opinion that any land, no land, despite good lands, you know. I know by Prisoners of Geography. I didn't read that book, Prisoners of Geography, but the argument is that whatever you want to do in life, the higher aspect of your hopes, your best hopes. Just a second. I'm not sure if Tommy is free. Tommy! Venga. Calma. So, your best chances in life are related to geography. Imagine living in the North Pole, being a Inuit. You will eat a lot of seals. Maybe you will starve. You know, this is interesting because these people, the Inuits are dying. I guess right now in 2024 there's zero Inuits anymore. They were surviving with his lifestyle, and by this time they are eating garbage from Canada and so on. And I'm not sure if there still are Inuits eating seal. Understand? So if you're born as a Inuit, your only chances in life will be eat seal or whale. No much option. Understand? I'm not saying it's so terrible, because if you drink whale blood, you will have all the vitamins you need, because whales, they eat plankton, and that's why whale blood or blood in general, there's some mosquito on the light. Anyway, Well, your chances are related to geography, understand? So, if you have born in the global south, you have no chances if you are not if you don't have born in China. You will have no chance of being a swimmer, a swimmer athlete. This is just a parenthesis. So this guy, so that's why, in my opinion, if you are a farmer in Palestine, the best thing you can do is leave. Leave, go away. I have to tell you, if you are a Palestinian in Israel or Palestine, leave that land to Israelis. These Israelis are crazy. They are Zionists. They are crazy. They are religious. Don't be like them. Don't fight for that fucking land. Go to Brazil. Came to Chile. Yeah, Chile is not that bad. Well, it's pretty bad. Let me tell you. But Brazil is better. I'm going to Brazil. I'm going to Brazil by walk. Maybe I'm going to die because of violence, but not because of lack of food. Not because of lack of food. There's plenty of food in Brazil. Colombia also. So if you are a Palestinian, migrate to Colombia. Yeah, migrate to Colombia. Of Africa. Africa will be great, as Pepe Escobar is saying. Anyway, so watch. This is my only hope, says Palestinian who farms to combat hunger. Maybe this guy don't have the ticket to fly to Colombia. This is my only hope, says Youssef Abu Rabi, a Palestinian man who is reviving farming to address food shortages caused by Israel's blockade in Gaza. Pretty hard. So there's more news. Yeah. I don't understand, because Palestinian people in total, I forgot what I was searched before, but how much Palestinian are in? I'm going to ask ChatGPT. How many Palestinians are there? How many Palestinians? So Brazil is full of problems too. If you are tired of Brazil violence, go somewhere else. How many Palestinians are in Palestine? As of 2023, there are approximately 5.4 million Palestinians living in the Palestinian territories, which include the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem. East Jerusalem is pretty small, but 5 million people, definitely they can go to Colombia. How many Colombians are there? How many Colombians are there in Shakira's house? In Colombia. If you like Colombia, the chat is not working well. Anyway, so forget about Colombia if you don't like it. Let's read just. I missed the Al Jazeera, please. Al Jazeera. So what's going on? U.S. send warplanes, battleship. Israel's war on Gaza live. U.S. sends ships, jets to region as tension soars. By Alastair McCready, August 3rd, 2024. The Pentagon says the U.S. military will deploy additional jet fighters and warships to the region amid growing anticipation of possible Iranian retaliation against Israel for the assassination of Hamas political chief Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran. Thousands of mourners rallied across the Middle East, including in Lebanon, Yemen, and Jordan, in tribute to Haniyeh after he was laid to rest in Qatar. Laid to rest in Qatar. Yeah, so by this time there's no war. No war. I was listening a podcast, a news program on TV 24/7. TV 24/7, and there was a Brazilian there, and the Brazilian said that I was a 70-year-old Brazilian that says the best thing you can do in life, promote peace and love and harmony, maybe, or something. But my question is enough, enough is enough. This is time for war. It's time for destroy Israel. That's what atomic. Look, Russia Today. There's an analysis by Alexander Chekhov from Russia Today. Oh, I'm not showing you, but yeah, I know you cannot see because of the flash of the cell phone light. But look, August 2nd, 2024, atomic threat. Here's how Trump is to blame for the world being on the brink of nuclear war. Here's how Trump is to blame for the world being on the brink of nuclear war. Washington has upped the ante with a proposed new missile deployment in Germany as a move from the ex-president made it possible. Just thinking about my latest thought that this is time for war. I will not see anything from Israel war. The only thing I will see is the news. I will not see anything. Maybe more because Chile is a pretty far country, and maybe I will see refugees. But what my take is that the BRICS countries, the global south, it is a good challenger for the world order based, the world rule based in anything. This hypocritical world we live on. So the global south is absolutely injustice for centuries, and this is our time. I have an Italian nationality, and well, let me just comment the latest issue from the boxer woman that lost in the final, this Italian Merini woman. I guess I was, yeah. What I know is that this Argelian woman, she was a woman at birth, but she got a kind of mutation or something, and she's not a trans woman. It's not a trans woman. Not just because she born as a man and decided to be a woman. No, she's like a hermaphrodite. Just like the South African runner from, I don't remember how many years ago. That's the case, And well, the question is, not every single hermaphrodite boxer, not every single hermaphrodite became a boxer. There is a very little number. There is a very very small number of people who have this condition of hermaphrodite. It's not hermaphrodite, but it's something like that. It's not a normal case, and the number of people who have this condition and dedicate themselves to boxing is even less. Is even little. is even smaller. And this particular Argentinian freak, I'm sorry, this Argentinian woman man freak athlete, she has lost. You know, she lost for a Netherlands woman, a Netherlands. Well, she just have a irregular. If I can remember exactly, she got an irregular adolescence. She got an irregular puberty. She got like, but anyway, so the question is, I saw an interview about her, and she looked, yeah, and I think she was a woman because she didn't have the grove, this grove voice that men have. But then, well, I don't care. My opinion is not the most of questions in the world are not by I don't remember now, but there's not just two sides, you know. There's not just two options. It's not binary. Yeah, it's not like I'm not wokeist just because I'm supporting this Argentinian athlete. No, I'm supporting the global south, you know. She's Argentinian, tanned, slash brown woman, a very humble woman, a poor humble boxer woman, you know, fighting against a white Italian supported by rich people from the global north. That's the question, in my opinion. And well, that's my side, you know, the global south, Argelia. Despite I have Italian citizenship, you know, and I saw the two of them, and I got sympathy from the Argelian, and I didn't like much the Italian. Anyway, so I'm going to read now What's Going On with Trump by Alexander Chekhov, specialist in international security and arms control, research fellow at the Institute for International Studies, Moscow, Moscow State Institute of International Relations, MGIMO. Friday marks 5 years since the termination of the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces INF treaty signed by the Soviet Union and the US in 1987. For a long time, the consequences of this step were overshadowed by other tensions in the international arena. Public attention has focused on different topics, and it seemed that post-INF issues interested only experts in the sphere itself. However, the 5th anniversary is being celebrated in a truly grand manner. The US offered a gift to Russia by announcing plans to begin episodic deployments of its ground-launched missiles in Germany in 2026. Russia didn't select on the matter. President Vladimir Putin responded that if these plans were implemented, Moscow will lift the unilateral moratorium on the deployment of its own intermediate range missiles. Russia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs did not rule out that exchange of pleasantries signifies a new missile crisis that may surpass those of the 1970s and 80s that eventually led to the signing of the original treaty. At that time, the deployment of new nuclear missiles in Europe led to the deterioration of Soviet-US relations to their lowest point since the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. The issue was solved radically by signing the INF Treaty. The US and the USSR prohibited themselves from having any either nuclear or non-nuclear ground-launched missiles with a range of 500 to 5,500 kilometers. From a military strategic point of view, this put the US in a more advantageous position. Firstly, the USSR eliminated twice as many rockets, 1,846 compared to 846 by the US. Secondly, air and sea launched missiles or similar range, the United States key instrument of power projection, were not included in the agreement. The Soviet leadership consented to such conditions in large part due to political reasons. Back then, the Kremlin believed that Soviet-US relations will eventually reach a new level and weapons will no longer play a key role in ensuring security. However, gradually this mood changed and Moscow increasingly criticized the 1987 deal. Putin eventually called the treaty unilateral disarmament. The new Russian Federation also expressed concern over American compliance. Nevertheless, Moscow's rhetoric did not exceed certain limits. The issue of terminating the agreement was never raised at the highest level. The storm clouds started to gather in the mid-2010s when the US raised concerns that, according to its information, Russia violated the treaty and tested a ground-launched cruise missile with a range of over 500 kilometers. Subsequently, it was revealed that the missile in question was the 9M 729, which is part of the Iskander system. Donald Trump's presidential administration named Russia's development of the 9M 729 as the official reason for launching the process of withdrawal from the INF Treaty in February 2019. However, in reality, the reasoning was more complicated. Almost simultaneously with the emergence of complaints about Russia's compliance with the INF Treaty, a major discussion broke out in the US about the development of China's capabilities. Unlike Moscow and Washington, Beijing wasn't bound by the INF Treaty and therefore could develop ground-based missiles without breaching any international prohibitions. By the mid-2010s, these weapons formed the backbone of China's missile arsenal. In 2017, the commander of the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, Admiral Harry Harris, estimated that approximately 95% of those missiles would violate the INF if China were a signatory. As a result, the Americas started to view Beijing's capabilities as a key issue that affected the balance of power in Asia Pacific. Chinese ground-launched DF-21D and DF-26 missiles earned the notable nicknames Carrier Killer and Guam Killer in the US, even the INF was still in force. Many American experts speculated about the need to withdraw from it, or at least to revise its terms so that the US could develop and deploy its own ground-based missile systems in the region as a counterbalance to China. Here, it is important to briefly outline the advantages of ground-based missiles compared to their air and sea-launched counterparts. First of all, surface-launched missiles can be maintained at a higher state of combat readiness. While it takes time for aircraft and ships to deliver their missiles, to launch areas. Ground-based systems are located close to their launch sites and therefore can be used within a very short time. With these projectiles, there's also no need to overcome the enemy's anti-aircraft and anti-ship capabilities to carry out a launch. Other advantages include reduced dependence on infrastructure, high firepower ensured by rapid reloading, and increased survivability due to the potential for missile dispersion. Although lacking the mobility of air and sea-launched systems, ground-based missiles may be an effective tool for preventing the enemy from establishing control over the battlefield. Anyway, this article is colossal. So, and I'm getting nothing from this. I have this news from, I guess I just read that Musk accepts Venezuelan president's offer to fight. You know, Chilean people over in this country, you know, what I still reading about Brazil, I'm still thinking about Brazil, still keeping my Brazilian skills, my Brazilian Portuguese skills in the other videos, in the other Portuguese videos, because this country over here in Chile, it's terrible, you know. This is a terrible country. Right here we don't have any companies, we don't have any industry, and we'll never have. So, and by this time, Chile is a very expensive country with very few opportunities of of work, of jobs. The unemployment rate is even higher than in Brazil, you know, and in my opinion, due to the lack of economy diversity. So it's a terrible country, and the most terrible thing about Chile is that Chile is the model for Venezuelan people, you know. And I guess I'm pretty sure that not Brazilian people nor Venezuelan people know what really happened in Chile. So we have a great unemployment rate. That's terrible. And that's it. We don't have nothing to be proud of in Chile. And that's what the capitalism offer to Brazil and Venezuela. So there's many Brazilian and Venezuelan people by this time, I imagine, that thinking that Chile is nice, Chile is good because of the neoliberalism. But that's the most terrible thing I can imagine. Neoliberalism is terrible, and if that will be the future, so I will not go. Take Argentina for instance. Argentina is following Chilean steps, but that is absolutely terrible. So it's been a lazy day in Russia today, and I'm going to read this one. Look, August 2nd, 2024. View from Russia. Can Putin and Biden make a deal after prisoner swap? The Kremlin seems to have decided it will rather deal with Biden-Harris than wait for Trump. By Dmitry Dries, political observer at Kommersant FM. Russia is delighted with Thursday's prisoner exchange in Ankara, Western media outlets report, citing sources in their country's respective agencies. Meanwhile, in Washington and in Western European capitals, the event is being presented as a major diplomatic breakthrough. It may even be a prelude to further talks between Moscow and Washington. It was the largest WEP in modern Russian history, not only in terms of the number of people involved, but also in their status. This time not only foreigners convicted in our country, but also Russian citizens, let's say critics of the existing state system and its leadership, were released from prison. We don't need to list them all again. That information is everywhere in news stories and has been repeated many times. It's worth repeating that the last time anything like this happened was during the Cold War. So we have yet another indication that history is repeating itself more or less. Missiles being placed in Western Europe, nuclear exercises in Russia, the decline in diplomatic relations, all the signs are there. Nevertheless, this event is positive in terms of the prospect of diffusing international tensions and perhaps encouraging a detente. Incidentally, this was a buzzword in the 1970s. Top US officials were in a festive mood. Joe Biden spoke at the White House surrounded by the families of those transferred. The Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris flew from Houston to Washington to meet them, so they were received at the highest level. It also seems that the Kremlin has a lot of doubts about Donald Trump's chances of victory. That's the first thing. And secondly, it is no big secret that it's much easier to come to an agreement with the Democratic Party in general and the Biden-Obama-Harris faction in particular. This is what we are witnessing. We can also recall that one of Biden's first executive orders after taking office in 2021 was to extend the START treaty. As we know, dear Donald refused to sign the document, but Bad Joe took it and approved it, and immediately at that. So bidding on this theme seems quite logical. By the way, it's also believed that both Iran and China believe it's better to deal with bad than very bad, and they also don't want Trump to return. But let's not get sidetracked. Anyway, an unprecedented agreement has been reached, and often when you manage to make one, it's followed by a second. That is to say, theoretically, we can assume that this is the beginning of the process of realigning relations between Russia and the West. Of course, the main stumbling block here is Ukraine, but it's not the only one. And this process should take place before the election in the US. That's it, in the shortest possible time frame. The reason is obvious. Trump could win and then we will have to start all over again. Some will say, but what about all the hopes and assumptions pinned on him? And why are they being forgotten? Yes, we should not be naive, but events are moving and moving fast, and time is running out. So what can we do? We can hope for the best, or rather hope for the prudence of all parties. We don't want the planet to burn in a fiery hell. So it makes sense to try to somehow avoid that scenario. This article was first published by Kommersant and was translated by and edited by Russia Today team. So as I was saying, Russia Today is not being so interesting today. So that's we are going to see CGTN news, where I have my app, where I have my app. Just 5 minutes reading short stories from CGTN. China's foreign trade and consumption. Yeah, this is interesting. But I guess I click on the second, on the subsequent. It's interesting too. China foreign trade. Economy, August 2nd, 2024. MOFCOM, MOFCOM, China's foreign trade and consumption have maintained steady growth. CGTN. We have a photograph from Shanghai, Lujiangsu Business District, China, July 30. Since the beginning of this year, China has made steady progress in business activities, achieving high-quality development and making positive contributions to the national economy, said Li Yongcha, Deputy International Trade Negotiator of China's Ministry of Commerce, MOFCOM, during a press conference on Friday. Li stressed that the consumption has maintained steady growth. Total retail sales of consumer goods reached 23.6 trillion yuan, $3.3 trillion in the first half of this year, up by 3.7%. Foreign trade has also continued to grow. Imports and exports of goods and services increased by 6.1% and 14% respectively in the first half of 2024, which contributed 13.9% to economic growth. According to the ministry survey of 16,000 key foreign founded enterprises, more than 70% of them expect their exports to increase this year, Li added. What's more, overseas investment and cooperation grew rapidly. Foreign non-financial direct investment reached 516 billion yuan in the first half of this year, up by 19.5%. Additionally, the ministry held 12 roundtables with foreign-founded enterprises to optimize the business environment. In the first half of this year, the number of newly established foreign-founded enterprises reached 27,000, and the actual use of foreign investment reached 498.9 billion yuan. Li said the ministry will expand the institutional opening up and deepen the reform of the foreign trade system. The foreign investment and outbound investment management system will be further opened up to make new and greater contributions to the promotion of Chinese modernization. I guess CGTN is not talking about the end of Israel. One day, Salih Hamas leader Haniyeh buried in Qatar. Business since Cold War. Russia and West exchanged prisoners. China to incorporate carbon targets into development plan. Yeah, I guess nobody wants to talk about the speculations about the end of Israel. I will call this episode "The End of Israel One Day Before." And nobody's talking about. Technology, August 3rd. China to incorporate carbon targets into development plans. CGTN. China will incorporate carbon emission targets into its national economic and social development agenda, according to a working plan made public on Friday. The plan, issued by the General Office of the State Council aims to accelerate the building of mechanisms for controlling the total amount and intensify and intensity of carbon emissions. By 2025, the country's capacities in statistics and accounting and monitoring and measurement of carbon emissions will be improved according to the plan. China will establish mechanisms focusing on curbing the intensity of carbon emissions during the 15 5-year plan period 2026 to 2030. After peaking carbon emissions, the focus of the mechanisms will be shifted towards controlling the total amount of emissions, the plan said. It also demanded efforts to improve carbon emission planning mechanisms, establish local emission assessment systems, explore early warning and control mechanisms for key industries and sectors, and enhance the carbon reduction management mechanisms of enterprises. China has committed to the dual carbon goals of peaking carbon emissions by 2030 and achieving carbon neutrality by 2060. It's very, very far away, you know. I will be kind of 80 years old. But yeah, you know, in 2024, I don't care. I know this is impossible. This is just wokeism, you know. You know, wake up, people. You wake up, wokeist. Wake up, wokeist. That would be another great headline. Wake up, wokeist. Global warming is inevitable. Global warming is a great business for the global south. That's perfect. Global warming is a great business for global south. Absolutely great. Yeah, I have a partner on these ideas. I always forget this word. I always forgot this word. An influencer. My influencer is Rui Costa Pimenta. Yeah, you know, BRICS is like association from the global south energy geopolitics. So global warming will be a great business for China, Russia, Kazakhstan, Brazil, and so on. I'm not sure what the hell South Africa has. Maybe nothing, maybe just diamonds. Anyway, since 2016, control over both the total amount of and intensity of energy consumption has become a binding requirement for economic and social development initiatives by local governments in the country. In a key document unveiled recently, China pledged to put in place new mechanisms to facilitate the transition to controlling the total amount and intensity of carbon emissions instead of energy consumption as part of efforts to promote green and low carbon development. This was from Xinhua News Agency. And I'm going to do my yoga now. And let's hope Daniel Jadue is great. Or you know what is not happening right here in Chile. People just forgot about Daniel Jadue. Nobody. I'm not sure if somebody's talking to him. Yeah, look. There's they will do a journey in August 8th, but this is too little, too late, in my opinion. Special stream, a journey for justice for Jadue. In my opinion, it's too little, too late. Daniel Jadue is kind of depressed now. Nobody says nothing about him. Just forgot about him.
Pero había gente de toda la comuna, gente de la zona sur, gente de la zona norte. Ahí estábamos en una reunión.
Perfecto, mira qué buena onda. Oye, permítame hacer un paréntesis. paréntesis. La semana pasada nosotros invitamos a una actividad de Recoleta. Yo estuve ahí el sábado en la noche, el Teatro del Silencio de Mauricio Celedón, y realmente fue espectacular. Fue una cosa llena de sueños. Y tenemos el siguiente registro de opiniones de las personas que, al igual que yo, asistieron en la noche a la Corporación Cultural de Recoleta. Y miren, por favor, la belleza que pasó el sábado pasado, mientras también se desarrollaba la Feria del Libro, que tuvo su clausura el domingo pasado. Miren este registro de Mauricio Celedón con el Teatro del Silencio, con vecinas y vecinos como actores. Con esta pequeña profesional. Vamos.
Yo encuentro que el público de Recoleta es un público muy culto y eso es gracias a todo el trabajo que han hecho aquí, que se ha hecho en Recoleta. Y agradezco a, por supuesto, su alcalde, a los directores de la Casa de la Cultura, por esta oportunidad que nos han dado.
Lo que está haciendo la corporación y esencialmente su alcalde Jadwe a nivel de la Municipalidad de Recoleta es educar a través del teatro a los niños, a los adultos, a la comunidad.
A veces la memoria cuando nos falla, obras como esta nos hacen recordar que hay ciertas cosas que no deben suceder más en la historia de Chile.
Me emocionó y me dio pena al mismo tiempo por las cosas que vivimos, porque yo la viví, tenía como 12 años y vi todo cuando traían a mi papá para acá, cuando fui a trabajar.
Well,
Para acá.
and now it's time for Tommy's yoga, but it's been Tommy was free and now it's more free. Let's check it out again. This tree just fall apart from the winds, you know. Tommy, acá. Just fall because of the wind. So imagine how the wind was. Maybe it was also I'm not sure about this. Maybe it was a ray, you know. Oh, I don't know this word. The word for, you know, a light. When the light comes from the sky, this. I don't have the vocabulary. Electricity. A ray of electricity. I guess it's a ray. Maybe, but it's not burned, you know. It's not full burned. I'm not sure what happened here. That doesn't look like it. There's nothing burned here. It's just wind, you know. I guess it's just wind.